Hey Book Dragons, welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad you could be here. Today we are talking about some not so stellar book covers. Let's go. So I've read some really good books in my many years of reading, and some of them have really bad book covers. Book covers that would make someone who didn't know anything about a book and didn't want to take a risk just not buy that book altogether. Just completely write it off. And while I understand where they're coming from, it also tends to make you miss out on some real gems. So I'm going to be talking about some of those books that I have read and enjoyed that have really bad book covers. And we're going to start with an honorable mention. And the reason this is an honorable mention is because previous covers have not been bad at all. They've actually been really good. And that is the Neil Gaiman books. Pretty much all of them. They have started releasing them with these new minimalist type covers, and I'm going, okay, if you don't want to sell those books, that's a good way to do it. I'm going to put the one for Ocean at the End of the Lane right up here. You know it's my favorite book of all time. But if I were to go in knowing nothing about this book with this cover, you got to be kidding me. I mean, it's pretty. It's got some nice colors on it, but it doesn't tell me anything about the book. I mean, okay. So anyway, moving on, because otherwise I could rant about how the publisher is not doing Neil Gaiman justice. And so, yeah, we'll move on from that to my first in the ranking, and that would be coming in at number 5. Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick. This is a fantastic book that I have not seen a whole lot of great covers for. There are a few out there. The movie cover from Blade Runner is probably the best cover for it because that's what it was based on, what Blade Runner was based on. But this cover right here is not great at all. I mean, I've seen so many covers that are so much better than this one right here. So if I were to see this cover, I would have been like, what artist did they get to do that? And I cringe even saying that because I do like to support artists. What they do is very important. But that artistic choice was not good. I'm sorry. That cover does not work for me. Coming in at number 4 is Leafdom by Jesse Teller. Now, as you can see, it's a pretty cool cover. It's got lots of great colors in it. There's cool lighting effects in the cover. But I think the real star of that book is Gentry Mandrake. And if you look real hard at the cover, you can see his character among the details of the cover. But from a distance, you might look at this and be like, okay, tell me why I need to read that book. And I love Leafdom. I highly recommend it to you, so just be aware that the cover could use an update. We'll put it that way. Book number 3 on this list is Beyond Redemption by Michael R. Fletcher. Absolutely fantastic book. It is the first book in the Manifest Delusions series. Book 2 is out as well, which I still have to read. I want to read that book, and book 3 is being worked on, I think. So, and he's got other like novellas and stuff in the series. So Beyond Redemption, and I think he has said so himself, that it wasn't his preferred artistic choice, but it's just kind of what came out, and he hasn't had it updated. So as you can see it right here, and if you've read Beyond Redemption, it doesn't really do Beyond Redemption justice, in my opinion, and probably the opinion of many others. But I would not let that deter you from reading Beyond Redemption. It's a fantastic book. Coming in at number 3 is The Picture of Dorian Gray. I have never found a decent cover for The Picture of Dorian Gray ever. I mean, look at this. Look at this. Look at this one right here. This is a book cover for such a fantastic book? You got to be kidding me. The Picture of Dorian Gray is one of my favorite classic books, and it deserves a better cover than what it's gotten. Would you not agree? I hope you do. So now let's move on to number 1. This is by far the worst book cover I have ever seen for a book that is actually really good. And that would be Mackinnon Noventumus, A Sorcerer's Onus by Conjury Bound. It's a long title, and the cover makes me speechless. As you can see, I don't know what was going on here. The author obviously either did it themselves or they hired someone who's never done art design before at all to do it together. It was probably photoshopped a couple of times. But the book is really good. It's like a classic sword and sorcery novel. Has a lot of good humor, good action, good magic in it. I really enjoyed the book. It wasn't the best thing I've ever read, but it definitely wasn't bad. I think I ended up, at the time I was still using star ratings, I think I gave it like a 4 stars, and I would still stand by that from what I remember about it. I'll probably have to reread it at some point. And then there's actually 2 sequels I found out. Well, one's a sequel and one's a prequel. I think the prequel just came out in 2015. I didn't even know about it, but I do want to continue the series. But why? Why use these covers? It doesn't make sense. Those books deserve a good cover. And I think people miss out on getting a hold of a great story because they're turned off by the book covers. I almost didn't buy it. But I was initially clued into the book because of the bad book cover, and I'm like, oh my goodness, what is that? And so I clicked over to it and I read a little bit more about it, and I'm like, well, this sounds pretty good, but that cover, oh my goodness. So end of the day, I bought it. It was 99 cents. I'm like, well, for 99 cents, it can't be that much of a waste if I don't like it. And I liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun. And the humor reminded me a lot of Harry Dresden. But it's not a detective story. It's a regular wizard and sword and sorcery novel, but the humor seemed very similar to Harry Dresden that Jim Butcher writes. So that being said, this guy needs to get a better book cover for these books, because so many people are missing out, and he's missing out on sales probably because of this book cover. He just happened to get a guy like me who was willing to take a risk for what sounded like a pretty okay story. So, what do you think? Tell me some of your least favorite book covers in the comments below. Tell me. I want to know. I want to go look at these book covers. Or maybe they're books that have since had updated book covers that are better and do them better justice. So, if so, let me know in the comments below. I would like to check these books out. Have you heard of any of these books? I'd be curious if you have heard of Mackinnon Noventumus. I had not before I ran across these on Amazon with a random search one day. So, yeah. That's all I've got to say, guys. I'm sure there's plenty of other books out there that have bad book covers, but these, and some of these aren't bad, right? But they don't do the book justice. So there you go. Let me know in the comments. Make sure you are reading more books. Maybe some of these books. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.